What is place value? Place value is something we use all the time when you are talking about numbers. If you looked at something and read off a number, you're using place value. It helps you understand how to read a number properly, understanding what the numbers are worth based on something we call a place value chart. So here we go. If you're following along with McGraw-Hill, we are in Chapter 1, Lesson 1, and we are introducing place value. Here we go. Let's say I have the number 2,428. Okay. How did I know how to read that? Can you read that number to yourself? Maybe in your head or out loud or to someone next to you? Go ahead and try and read this number out loud while I wait for you. So if you did read this number out loud, it might sound something like this: 2,428. Notice I didn't say "and" in between any of that, and sometimes that is a common mistake we do. But if you read this properly again, I'll say it out loud: 2,428. How many people got that right? Maybe you were really close. So when we read this number, the only reason why I know how to read it out loud, and you can too, is because of something called a place value chart. We understand the value of this number based on where the digits are sitting. So a place value chart tells us that the 8 is sitting in the ones place. Do you know where the 2 is sitting? It's sitting in the tens place. How about the 4? The 4 is sitting in the hundreds. And the 2 is sitting in the thousands. So, why is it important to know where they're sitting? Well, again, that helps us understand how to read it and to understand how much it's worth, okay? If I can read this as 2,428, I know that because of where the numbers are sitting. The smallest number, 8, is in the ones place. The 2 comes next. The 2 is bigger because it's sitting in a tens place. The 4 is even bigger than the 2 because it's in the hundreds. And this 2 is the biggest number out of all of them because it's worth 2,000, because it's sitting in the thousands place. And again, that's how I knew how to say it in word form, 2,000, okay? So, how much are they worth? There's a couple ways we can do this, and I like to relate this to remembering the vocabulary here. We're talking about place value. Every number has a place, and I like to think of it like a parking lot. If you've ever been in a parking lot, you notice that each car has a specific spot, and it's not good to cross over the line and get into 2 parking spots. Just like these digits, this 2 and this 4, they're not going to get into each other's spots. They have to stay in there. So I'm going to draw little boxes around them to help you remember that each number has its place. And if it has its own place, we can talk about how much it's worth or what its value is. So I think of this 2 parking right here in the thousands place, it's worth 2,000. This 4 wanted to go and park in the hundreds place, so it's worth 400. So let's start writing those down. I'm going to go back to the 8. 8 is sitting in the ones place, so I only have one 8. It's just 8. Not 80, not 800, it's just 8. The 2 is sitting in the tens. So imagine I cover up all the other numbers around it and make them zeros. It would look like this. How much is that worth? I just have 20. So this 2 is in the tens place, that's worth 20. How about the 4? If I put zeros around the 4, I would have 400. And then the 2 is in the thousands place, and it's worth 2,000 because, again, it's sitting in the thousands, and if I put zeros in all the other numbers, it tells me it's worth 2,000. So that's one way you can do it. You can also use multiplication. If I have an 8 in the ones place, that means I'm going to do 8 times 1, because the 1 tells me it's in the ones place, and then I multiply and that gives me 8, and that is the value. 2 in the tens, so that would be 2 times 10, and that gives me 20. 4 in the hundreds, so that would be 4 times 100, which gives me 400. 2 in the thousands, so 2 times 1,000 gives me 2,000. So if you look, we are identifying what the number is based on what place it's sitting in. So I can tell you the value of this number, and I can tell you the value of each digit based on what parking spot it's sitting in. So we can do it by identifying the place it's in and covering up the other numbers with zeros, or you can take the digit and multiply it by the value of that place, a 1, a 10, 100, 1,000, and that will give us the value of that digit. This is just an introductory. If you look at my other place value videos, you're going to get more help on understanding how we can identify more values of bigger numbers. Thank you so much.